All right, so another thing I would recommend that you do to make your writing more concise is to look for statements of the obvious and unnecessary information. So whenever you find statements of the obvious, you can cut those. That's an easy cut. And also irrelevant information. You can cut sentences to entire paragraphs by finding irrelevant information and just taking it out. So this is an easy way to cut text. So just omit obvious material and omit any explanations that you have written that are not necessary. What are some examples of obvious or unnecessary? Well, let's look at a couple. High microbial diversity has been observed in almost all environments that have been examined. Well, you can't observe microbial diversity in environments that have not been examined. So that have been examined is not necessary. So we could just say high microbial diversity has been observed in almost all environments. Now, if there are a lot of environments that have not been observed yet, I think that should be pointed out, but it needs to be done in a different way. A second example is numerous studies on polysaccharides from microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and microalgae, have been carried out. That entire sentence is a statement of the obvious. And I think the reason the authors wrote this sentence was just to have something to attach their references to. But I would suggest that you don't write a sentence that's just, that obvious. Attach the references to specific sentences that say something that's more relevant to the conversation. Thirdly, observations in the study reveal distinct variations in the values of physico-chemical parameters of the lake throughout the year. Yeah, again, I feel like this is a statement that is completely obvious, and it's just there as a place to place the reference for Table 1. So I would suggest placing the reference for Table 1 in a sentence that has some specific result from Table 1. So the first time you mention some result from Table 1, then you can reference Table 1. But putting a sentence that's just obvious like this, of course there's going to be physical variations in a lake throughout a year. That is really text that doesn't need to be there. Another example of statements of the obvious would be something like this, where there are unnecessary words or phrases. Prior to the start of this project, the XYZ team will draft, submit, and obtain IRB approval for the study. Well, before you get IRB approval, of course, you have to draft the application and you have to submit the application. It's not necessary to say that you're going to draft and submit the application. You just need to say you're going to obtain IRB approval. So you can completely take out those 3 words. And you might say it's only 3 words, but 3 words per sentence over a lot of sentences over a manuscript or a grant proposal adds up to quite a few words. And it can mean the difference between a paragraph on 12 lines or a paragraph on 11 lines. Some other examples of unnecessary words or phrases. Prolonged exposure to elevated temperatures induces conformational changes that affect enzyme 3D structure. That's redundant because conformational changes by definition are changes that affect enzyme 3D structure. So we don't need that phrase. The first part of this sentence can be eliminated based on the results obtained in the present study. Now, anytime you see that, you can basically strike it out and just go directly to the result. Both algorithms improved the accuracy of hyperspectral modeling to varying degrees. A total of 8 classes of algae, just say 8 classes of algae, with varied seasonal distributions were identified as part of the study. Okay, so you don't need to say as part of the study. That's obvious. So we can make this sentence, about half as long as it was. The fourth example here, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, or SARS-CoV-2, is the main cause of coronavirus disease. Well, it's the only cause of coronavirus disease, so we can take out main, which has turned to become an international concern worldwide. So we can take out the turn to. So just say coronavirus disease has become an international concern. And we don't need worldwide either, because international and worldwide mean the same thing. So we can make this sentence 4 words shorter.